Hello everybody, this is Freddy from Turn Vertical. In this video I want to go over retargeting, explain to you why it can be a liability to your business and why you should probably stop using retargeting ads altogether. So yeah, let's get right into it. First things first, retargeting has a more expensive CPM. Obviously this makes sense, if you look at your broad versus retargeting CPMs, broad might be 10-15 bucks, retargeting might be 30-40 bucks. This obviously due to the fact that it's small pool, it's a smaller audience, high conversion, etc., etc. This point 2 and 3 basically go hand in hand. So let me go over these together. So basically, first of all, retargeting is not scalable, right? If you're spending $1,000 a day on broad and then you're spending $100 on retargeting, if you double your top of the funnel, or if you double your broad spend to let's say $2,000 per day, you can't just double your retargeting spend to let's say $200 per day, right? Because within your retargeting pool, let's say it's at a cart 7 days, there might be like 200 people, and just because you double your top of the funnel spend, there are not all of a sudden 200 people in that at a cart 7-day audience. And that is because the more you tend to spend, the lower the impression quality gets, right? Obviously the first impressions are the best, when the algo is in place and they know who to show the ads to, and the more you spend, it tends to be the lower the quality or the lower the impression quality is, right? And this leads to basically the more you spend on retargeting, the higher the CPMs get in that retargeting audience. I have a perfect example for that. Let me show it to you. So this is a client for me, and I was running retargeting for them for quite a while. I've turned it off in the meantime, but let's go to kind of the end. Let's go here. So basically, what you can see is at the beginning the CPMs was $16, which is quite alright, frequency decent, and then obviously I was forcing spend on those people, and it went went up to like a frequency of 3, and CPMs were like $30, right? Because I was forcing spend on people who don't want to see ads, and this basically Facebook's way of telling me, hey, you might want to stop retargeting, and I wasn't increasing linearly the retargeting ad spend, but still this happened to me, right? So yeah, the more spend you're forcing, the higher the CPMs get, and this can be a huge problem, which I will be going over in just a second. But yeah, the issues that come with retargeting. First of all, you're stealing good impressions from broad, right? Your broad, unless you're excluding people, which you should probably not be doing, your broad does retargeting, and if you have a separate retargeting campaign, obviously the broad campaign won't go after these people anymore, right? So if you have, let's say, like 14-day add to cart or retargeting audience Facebook's, the broad campaign doesn't go after the 14-day add to cart people anymore. And this is basically bad because first of all, you're forcing spend on people who might not want to see your ads. This leads to low quality user experience. This is why CPMs go up, and because you're spending money on someone who thinks you is a good impression versus letting Facebook's algo work and show your ads to who they think is a good impression, you're getting high CPMs, right? That's basically what I was writing here as well. Get this away. Get that out of the way. This leads to a lower EAR across the board. EAR is basically the estimated action rate, and it's basically Facebook's way to determine how likely a person is to give you your desired outcome, right? In most D2C cases, this will probably be the purchase, conversion event. And if you optimize for purchase, Facebook obviously, optimizes for people who want to purchase, right? And obviously Facebook wants to show your ads to people who are likely to purchase, because then you as an advertiser are happy, right? But, in this instance, because you're forcing spend on people who might not want to see your ad, as opposed to relying on the algo, you get higher CPMs, and then, you get lower EARs. And because you get lower EARs in your retargeting audience, then your EAR across the board, also top of the funnel, is lower, and that is obviously not good, because you want to get your EAR to the highest possible number. Anyway, there's no way of telling what your EAR is. But basically, because you do the retargeting, your EAR goes down across the board. And this then leads to higher frequency, also because you're stealing the good impressions from broad and then broad does some retargeting, you know, on lower quality impressions, and then because broad has to do this, your frequency across the board goes up, and this also means that you're reaching lower quality top of the funnel people, right? And not every impression is equal. Obviously, there's good impressions and there's bad impressions. You know, good impressions are, you know, people who comment. I mean, the best impression you could get is somebody going to your ad and immediately buying, right? But there's also bad impressions of people who just, you know, keep scrolling. You know, they don't interact with the ad at all, and because there are, you know, less people out there who want to buy your product, let's say immediately. Let's say there's only two types of impressions, you know, good impression people buying immediately, and bad impression people, you know, keep scrolling. Obviously, you know, watch time, interaction, etc. counts in as well. But let's say there's only these two types of interactions with your ad. There are obviously less people on the platform who are like ready to buy a product right now if they see your ad. There's more people who just keep scrolling, right? And if you steal the people basically who Facebook would retarget normally based on the algorithm in your broad campaign, because you're stealing those with like a separate retargeting campaign, you're reaching a lower quality, you know, less quality of people in your top of the funnel audience, which then also lead to a lower estimated action rate, which then, you know, tend to give you higher CPMs and higher frequency. You know, just a short example where this flips, and then when you should be using retargeting, you know, obviously this flips at some point where you kind of, you're spending so much that the algo gets better at scale, and then retargeting might make sense because your EAR goes up as well with it. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining that, because if you're watching this video, this is most likely not you. So, you know, when should you use retargeting? I think, you know, I use it in most cases I use it this way. You know, broad retargeting is basically, I like to bundle my retargeting audience, you know, like IG engagers 365 days, like Facebook video viewers 365 days, etc., etc. Like basically people who've engaged with my brand or the client's brand like once over the past year, right? Those people might not even know your brand anymore, but they tend to have a slightly higher EAR, because they've interacted with your brand at least once, right? And the CPMs are maybe only like slightly higher than, you know, your normal top of the funnel broad campaign, right? CPMs are only slightly a bit higher, but your EAR is also slightly higher. So then this can make sense because of kind of the higher CPMs, like your higher EAR kind of outpaces the higher CPMs. Like you're gonna get more sales, basically, and you know there's a slight difference basically between a higher EAR and high CPMs. Then you overall have a higher EAR, and this then goes back to the top of the funnel campaign, which then also has a higher EAR. You know, you can get away with like lower CTRs, etc., because the people tend to have a EAR. Or something maybe like add to cart for 24 hours. Haven't tried this in quite a while, but basically, you know, you get super high CPMs, but super high EAR, because, you know, add to cart for 24 hours is most likely people who are super interested in purchasing. The thing is, you can't spend a lot there, right? You might be spending $20 a day on like those add to cart people. And this way, you're not really stealing anything from broad, and you're spending so little on that audience that your overall like EAR, etc., are not really affected. Yeah, that's basically how you should be using retargeting. I use it in most cases in this way, super broad retargeting campaigns. And, you know, again, retargeting can be bad because you're stealing good impressions from broad. You're forcing spend on people who might not want to see ad versus, you know, letting the algo decide. This then leads to a lower EAR across the board, higher CPM, higher frequency, and you're reaching low quality top of the funnel people. Basically, let Facebook do all of the work for you. You know, have less problems in your account, and you should be good to go.